Hi everyone, this is Helloangel.design. Today I'm going to show you how I make this beautiful fancy dress mixed with African print. You can use any print of your choice. So this is how it looks once you have done making. So the net that I use, I also place it at the sleeve. So this is how it is right here. It's super easy to make, it's not so difficult. Even a beginner can make this dress the way I showed it how to stitch it. I attach invisible zipper at the center back. This is how it is right now. It's very beautiful. And this is my bow. You can see I place a pin right here. If you want to place your bow at the back of the dress, you just place a pin inside. Once the child put it on, you use the pin to pin it together, and it will be like this at the back of the dress. So if you want to place it at the front of the dress, remove the pin, place it at the front of the dress like this, take it to your sewing machine, give it a little stitch to secure the bow in place. The way I make my bow, if I'm placing the bow at the front, I always give it a little stitch to secure the bow at the front, because whenever you wash your dress, the bow didn't go off. Many people use glue to glue the bow, but the moment you wash it, the bow will just go off. So the best way, just give it a little stitch here, a little stitch here, and whenever you wash it, the bow still remain on its position. So this is how it will look once you have done make, if you want to place your bow at the front. It's really easy to make. It's not so difficult. And I use soft net and hard net, so I mix the two together, and my lining also. If my tutorial has been helpful, don't forget to thumbs up, make a comment down below, support me by subscribing, and let's get started. Before we start to put the dress together, I just want to show you what I'm going to use to make this dress. So I cut a net right here. This net is all, I'm going to use it as a ruffle sleeve, and I also cut my made fabric as a ruffle sleeve. So the net will be on top of the made fabric like this. This is how I will make the ruffle sleeve. So the net that I cut 4 pieces. 2 for the for one side, while the 2 for the other side. If you're making this kind of dress, you can cut 4 pieces for the ruffle sleeve, and make sure you also cut your made fabric, the same thing, 4 pieces. And this is my made fabric, the top, and this is the lining, and my lining skirt. So I also cut a fabric right here. This will be for my bow, and this will be for the bow to wrap the bow around, and this is my lining for the skirt. And my net, this will be my skirt. So the net that I have here, I have soft net and hard net. This net is not so hard, it's just a little bit hard. The hard one will be at the bottom, while the soft one will be on top of the hard net. And this is my invisible zipper. So the dress that I'm making today is for 3 to 4 years old child. So let's start putting them together. First thing that you have to do, you take your top fabric, this is the front, and you take the back, this is also the front. Make sure both front are facing each other, and then you just go ahead and put the both front together. So what you're going to do, you're going to pin the both shoulder seam together. Once you have done pinning the both shoulder seam, take it to your sewing machine, stitch the both shoulder seam of the top together, and then you will take your lining, you will do the same thing. If you are using the same fabric to lining your top, make sure both front of the made fabric are facing each other. And just go ahead and pin the both shoulder seam. Once you have done that, take it to your sewing machine, stitch the both shoulder seam of your top together. I have top stitched the shoulder seam, and I take it to my ironing board. I press the seam apart. Make sure when you're making any dress, always iron your top or your dress or anything that you're making. Make it look very, very nice. So what you're going to do, take your lining, put them together, make sure both front are facing each other. So you're going to pin around the neckline of your top dress. So the way I do it, I'll first of all pin the both shoulder seam together, make sure both are matched, and then I will continue pinning it all around. Once you have done pinning your neckline all around the neckline of the top that you're making, before you take it to your sewing machine and stitch, for the center back, measure your seam allowance. That is for the center back for your zipper. Measure 2 centimeters inside, and then from there where your 2 centimeters end, stitch it all the way around to the other side. If you're using inches, measure inside 1/2 inch, and then continue from where the 1/2 inch end, and then stitch it all the way around to the other side. Once you have done stitching the neckline, the next thing that you have to do is to take your sleeve. So put them together like this. Make sure both of your sleeves are facing each other. Like I said before, cut 4 pieces of your sleeve. Put them together like this. Go ahead and stitch the bottom edge of your sleeve. Once you have done stitching, turn it inside out and give it a very nice press. Once you have pressed your sleeve very nice, also top stitch the top edge of your sleeve. By this time, you are going to set your sewing machine to the longest stitch and stitch it all the way down. You will go ahead and do the same thing with your second sleeve. So you will take your net. So put both net together. I have 2 pieces right here, and I have 2 pieces for the second sleeve. Put both net together. You are not going to top stitch the bottom edge. You are only going to set your sewing machine to the longest stitch and top stitch the top edge, because you're going to gather it also. So go ahead and stitch your top neckline, stitch your sleeve, and then set your sewing machine to the longest stitch so that we can gather the sleeve on the top. Don't forget, when you're stitching your sleeve, make sure both of your front sleeve are facing each other, and you just put them together. First thing, stitch the bottom edge with normal stitches. I have stitched my sleeve, as you can see right here. This is how it looks right now. So I take it to my ironing board. I just press it very well. You just open your sleeve, push the seam. You can see my seam. Push the seam towards the lining side and top stitch it all around. I have top stitched my sleeve. This is how it look right now, and this is my stitches inside. Instead of me top stitching it all around at the front, I just top stitch the seam towards the lining. So this is how it look. Make sure you take it to an ironing board and press. My gather stitch thread, and I did the same thing right here. My gather stitch thread, as you can see, I did not stitch the bottom. You can also see that I have started to gather my ruffle sleeve. This is how it looks once you have done gathering your sleeve on your top dress that you're making. So first thing that you have to do, you open your top like this, push the lining towards one side. From the end of the armhole, I measure inside 4 centimeters. If you're using inches, measure inside 1.5 inch. For the back, I did the same thing, 4 centimeters or 1.5 inch. So put your sleeve together. This is my net ruffle sleeve. Put them together. Snip the mid part. I have done that already. And you put your made fabric together. Also do the same thing, snip the made part. I have done that already. So what you're going to do, you take your net. This is where I snip. Put it at the shoulder seam. Make sure they are matched. Just put it at the shoulder seam and take your pin that in place. So this is my 4 centimeter. I take a scissor to snip it so that I know this is my end of 4 centimeter right here. Place your net. Make sure the edges right here is facing out, because you don't want to top stitch and it's sticking inside your top. So put them together and pin that in place like this. You come to the other side, you do the same thing and pin that in place. So what you're going to do, you're going to gather this side to the end right here. You gather this side to the end. Once you are gathering your sleeve, make sure you fix it properly. Just go ahead and keep pushing just like this, the way I'm doing it right now. And then once you have done it like that, use it to wrap the pin, and then you can fix your sleeve properly. This is how it will look. Then you take your made sleeve. This is my made sleeve. This is the front. Make sure both fronts are facing each other. Put it on top like this, on top of the shoulder seam. Put them together and just take off this pin and pin it everything together. The end of your sleeve, place it just the same way you place your net. Place it like this. Take off the pin and then pin it together. So then you can take your thread of your net. This is my thread of my net. Use it to wrap the pin all over again, just like that. Then you take your made sleeve. This is the gather stitch thread. Start pulling your sleeve or start gathering your sleeve, just like that. So once you have done it like this, you see that the lengths are equal. Take your thread. This is your made fabric thread. Use it to wrap the pin all over. Once you have done that, then you can fix your sleeve properly, or you can gather your sleeve properly. You just pull it like this gradually. So when you start to pin them together, you pick your net and your sleeve together. You just go ahead and pin it all around, just like that. It's very easy. It's not so difficult. This is how it will look right now. So I will just turn it over. This is how it look inside of your top. So go ahead and do the same thing on the other side of your armhole. I have pinned the both sleeve together. This is how it look right now. The next thing that you have to do, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all around, and you do the same thing with the second side of your sleeve. Once you have done that, take out your gather stitch thread all around. You just go ahead and remove all your gather stitch thread, and you also come to this side. You also removed all your gather stitch thread. Then we can put the lining on top of it and top stitch all over again. I have top stitched the sleeve. This is how it look right now, and this is how it finally look. I take out all my gather stitch thread. Make sure you take out all your gather stitch thread. The next thing that you have to do, put your lining on top of it, just like this. So when you're going to pin your lining on your top, you fold your sleeve inside. Just fold it inside, and then put your lining on top of it. You just go ahead and pin it all around. So go ahead and pin your lining on top of your top dress. I have pinned it all around. The next thing that you have to do, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all around. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter. When I stitch before, it's not up to 1 centimeter. So when I'm stitching right now, I'm going to top stitch around the both armhole where the sleeve is with 1 centimeter seam allowance. So go ahead and top stitch. I have top stitched the sleeve in place. This is how it is, and this is how the inside look. Once you have top stitched, take your scissors, snip a little bit out from the seam allowance, turn it inside out and give it a nice press. This is how it will finally look. Once you have done that, put the both sides seam together like this. Take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down, and you do the same thing on the other side. Give it a top stitch all the way down. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter. Once you have done that, you take your net. This is 2 meter, and the soft one is also 2 meter. So what I'm going to do, I will take it to my sewing machine, set it to the longest stitch and stitch it all the way down. So the way it is right here is fold into 2. It's not just one piece like this. The net is fold into 2. Take it to your sewing machine, set it to the longest stitch and stitch it all the way down. And you also take your soft net, you do the same thing. Take it to your sewing machine and stitch it all the way down. Once you have set your sewing machine to the longest stitch, you have gathered your net all around. Also take your lining, set your sewing machine to the longest stitch and stitch it all the way down. So you are also going to gather your lining on the top dress. So go ahead and gather your lining and your net together. I have pinned it all together. This is how it is. If you want to pin your lining and your net together, what you're going to do, you first of all pin your net all around down, gather your lining, then place it on top of it like this. Then take the pin one after another and continue pinning it all the way down. Once you have done pinning, take it to your sewing machine, stitch it all the way down. My seam allowance is 1 centimeter. Once you have done top stitching, take it to your overlocker, overlock the raw edges, or use zigzag to overlock the raw edges. If you are using zigzag to overlock the raw edges, make sure you trim a little bit out from the seam allowance. Then go ahead and use zigzag to overlock the raw edges. But if you are using overlocker, just go ahead, place it on your overlocker machine and just go ahead and overlock it. For the side seam, also take your side seam to your sewing machine, overlock the side seam all the way down. So first thing, go and top stitch your skirt on your top and then overlock it all around. I have stitched the waistline. This is how it finally looks. It's really beautiful. So you can see I just overlock all the raw edges, and I also overlock the raw edges from the center back. The next thing that you have to do is to take a measurement where you're going to place your zipper. From the very top of the neckline, I measure that 9 inch, and I come to this side. From the very top of the neckline, I measure that 9 inch. So what you're going to do, you turn your dress inside out. You put them together like this. This is where my 9 inch ends. You just put them together and you pin that in place. And you just go ahead and take your dress to your sewing machine. From where the 9 inch ends, you just take it to your sewing machine. You just stitch it all the way down to the end. Once you have done that, then take your dress to your sewing machine. Just go ahead and hem your dress and top stitch all around. And you come to this side, you also do the same thing. Go ahead and hem your dress and top stitch all around. So go ahead and stitch the center back and hem your dress. I have stitched the center back. This is how it looks. And this is how the front of the dress look. You see how beautiful that is? It's really, really cute. So the next thing that you have to do is to put your zip on the center back. So what you're going to do, this is my zipper. Let me zoom it. This is my zipper. You just open it like this, and then you turn it like this. I have shown many times how to put your zipper on the dress, but I will just show it one time, and I'm not going to show it how to stitch it. I will show you how you can place your zipper and use and thread your needle and also top stitch along. So first thing, go ahead and pin it all the way down. Just go ahead and continue pinning. So once you have done pinning, when you're going to place the next zipper, this other side on this side, just go ahead and first zip it like this. So you're going to mark with the waistline. Take your marker, you just mark where the waistline is like this, and you come down here and you mark it like that. Once you have done that, then you open your zipper like this. So what you're going to do, you turn your zipper this way. This is my marker right here. Place it at the waistline like this, and then you pin that in place. So you just continue pinning all the way down. Once you have pinned it all the way down, the next thing that you have to do to make it more easier for you when you're stitching, thread your needle. So you can see I've already threaded my needle. Just go ahead and thread your needle. Use hand stitch to stitch the zipper in place. Then remove all the pins. And then take it to your sewing machine and stitch it all around. Once you have done stitching, then you can remove your hand stitch tray. So go ahead and stitch your zipper on your dress. I have stitched my zipper in place. This is how it is right here. You can see how inside is. This is how it is. And you can see that I place a pin right here. Let me remove it. So the raw edges of your zip, what you are going to do, you just fold it inside like this. You see the way I fold it, and then you turn it over like this and place a pin to secure that. Once you have done it like this, take it to your sewing machine, just give it a little stitch all the way down, and you do the same thing on this side. Give it a little stitch all the way down. Once you have done that, if you have a longer zipper the way I have, what you're going to do, fold the raw edges inside, take it to your sewing machine, give it a top stitch all the way down, and then across, and then turn it inside out. It will then look like this. Just push your zipper inside the fabric and top stitch right here. You just top stitch right here, so you secure the zipper from opening all the way down. Once you have done that, your dress is finally ready. So if you want to attach a bow, you can attach a bow on the dress, but if you don't want to attach a bow, it's really beautiful. So but for me, I'm going to attach a bow. If I'm going to attach a bow, I will place it at the back or at the front. So if I place it at the back, normally the way I make my bow, I will always give it a little stitch to secure the bow. So, but if you're going to attach it on the back, you just have to put a pin inside like this, so that when you're going to attach it on the back, you put the pin inside the back and you just pin it together. Because if you stitch it on the back, or any child that is putting the dress on, it will be very difficult to put it on because the bow is on the way. But if you don't want to put it on the back, you just turn your dress, put it at the front or at the side of the dress. Either you put it like this, or you put it at the center of the dress, just like this. That will be very, very beautiful. So this is the final look of my dress making. Thank you all so much for watching and have a blessed day. Bye.